Does anyone really debate it anymore? Is the science not settled? 97% consensus. And what an emotional plea that she gave. A lot of people tend to say, oh, using a young child to make your argument is some kind of propaganda. That's what the Nazis did. I've even seen propaganda from the people that question the whole climate change, man-made climate change, anthropogenic climate change, showing comparisons of how the Nazis used images of young blonde girls to propagate their message, and the climate change campaigners are doing the same thing with Greta Thunberg. But it doesn't matter if what she's saying is true. It really doesn't matter. We have to act now. And even if we're not 100% sure that climate change is man-made, surely we can't gamble with that. We can't gamble our future. You can't gamble your life on a 50-50 or even a 60-40, even a 90-10. Would you really gamble your life on a bet that had a 90% chance of being right, but 10%? I don't want to risk my life for a 1 in 10. So we can't afford to risk it. And it's 97% consensus from those that know anyway that climate change is being accelerated by the mass consumption of fossil fuels. So it's up to us to do something, and I guess the only thing we can do is find a better way to create our energy. But pleb enforcement in the chat is saying F Greta Thunberg. He doesn't agree. Give me a call, pleb enforcement. Tell me why you dislike little Greta Thunberg, who was pouring her heart out there and telling it like it is. What could you possibly have against her? I don't know. Number on the screen, 07491 751 203. Tell me it's not true. The scientists think you're wrong and she's right. But as ever, we don't listen to scientists because they're not charismatic. But little girls seem to be. Why is it we need to have a different medium in order to understand the message? Because Greta Thunberg is saying what the scientists say, but she's saying it in a way that will make us listen. I get it. That is a form of propaganda. But if you're going to use propaganda to tell the truth, then good luck to you. Maybe that's what we need. Maybe Greta Thunberg should start doing health warnings. Maybe Greta Thunberg should be telling the people to stay at home and self-isolate if they have the symptoms. But maybe you're one of those people that thinks that's all a hoax as well. Why is it the type of people that think Greta Thunberg is wrong is very often the same type of people that think this is all a hoax and the government aren't going to take away my right to go and walk in the park, even if it will save other people's lives. And pleb enforcement is saying, I'm right, she's wrong, end of conversation. Pleb enforcement, that wasn't a very good conversation. I expected a better conversation from you. If you are correct, tell me why. Surely I'm right, she's wrong, end of conversation. Very poor. Very poor. Even if you are correct, that's a very poor way of persuading anyone. But maybe someone else will step up to the plate and tell me why little Greta Thunberg is wrong to say, how dare you? Science is on her side. Tell me why I'm wrong, pleb enforcement. Tell me why she's wrong. Go on. I dare you. I dare you. Pick up the phone. We'll be waiting. But there are people with other opinions. I'm going to hear from someone. Let's see if anyone remembers this chap and his views on the environment. Let's have a little listen to the late great George Carlin, and then we'll see who's right and who's wrong.
You got people like this around you. Country's full of them now. People walking around all day long, every minute of the day, worried about everything. Worried about the air, worried about the water, worried about the soil. Worried about insecticides, pesticides, food additives, carcinogens. Worried about radon gas, worried about asbestos. Worried about saving endangered species. Let me tell you about endangered species, all right? Saving endangered species is just one more arrogant attempt by humans to control nature. It's arrogant meddling. It's what got us in trouble in the first place. Doesn't anybody understand that? Interfering with nature. Over 90%, way over 90% of all the species that have ever lived on this planet, are gone. They're extinct. We didn't kill them all. They just disappeared. That's what nature does. They disappear these days at the rate of 25 a day. And I mean regardless of our behavior. Irrespective of how we act on this planet, 25 species that were here today will be gone tomorrow. Let them go gracefully. Leave nature alone. Haven't we done enough? We're so self-important. So self-important. Everybody's going to save something now. Save the trees, save the bees, save the whales, save those snails. And the greatest arrogance of all, save the planet. What? Are these fucking people kidding me? Save the planet? We don't even know how to take care of ourselves yet. We haven't learned how to care for one another. We're gonna save the fucking planet? I'm getting tired of that shit. Tired of that shit. Tired. I'm tired of fucking Earth Day. I'm tired of these self-righteous environmentalists, these white bourgeois liberals who think the only thing wrong with this country is there aren't enough bicycle paths. People trying to make the world safe for their Volvos. Besides, environmentalists don't give a shit about the planet. They don't care about the planet. Not in the abstract, they don't. Not in the abstract, they don't. You know what they're interested in? A clean place to live. Their own habitat. They're worried that someday in the future they might be personally inconvenienced. Narrow, unenlightened self-interest doesn't impress me. Besides, there is nothing wrong with the planet. Nothing wrong with the planet. The planet is fine. The people are fucked. Difference. Difference. The planet is fine. Compared to the people, the planet is doing great. It's been here 4.5 billion years. Did you ever think about the arithmetic? Planet has been here 4.5 billion years. We've been here, what, 100,000? Maybe 200,000? And we've only been engaged in heavy industry for a little over 200 years. 200 years versus 4.5 billion. And we have the conceit to think that somehow we're a threat? That somehow we're going to put in jeopardy this beautiful little blue-green ball that's just a-floating around the sun? The planet has been through a lot worse than us. Been through all kinds of things worse than us. Been through earthquakes, volcanoes, plate tectonics, continental drift, solar flares, sunspots, magnetic storms, the magnetic reversal of the poles, hundreds of thousands of years of bombardment by comets and asteroids and meteors, worldwide floods, tidal waves, worldwide fires, erosion, cosmic rays, recurring ice ages, and we think some plastic bags and some aluminum cans are going to make a difference? The planet isn't going anywhere. We are. We're going away. Pack your shit, folks. We're going away. And we won't leave much of a trace either. Thank God for that. Maybe a little styrofoam. Maybe. Little styrofoam. Planet will be here and we'll be long gone. Just another failed mutation. Just another closed-end biological mistake. An evolutionary cul-de-sac. The planet will shake us off like a bad case of fleas. A surface nuisance. You want to know how the planet's doing? Ask those people at Pompeii who are frozen into position from volcanic ash how the planet's doing. Want to know if the planet's all right? Ask those people in Mexico City or Armenia or 100 other places buried under thousands of tons of earthquake rubble if they feel like a threat to the planet this week. How about those people in Kilauea, Hawaii, who build their homes right next to an active volcano and then wonder why they have lava in the living room? The planet will be here for a long, long, long time after we're gone, and it will heal itself, it will cleanse itself, because that's what it does. It's a self-correcting system. The air and the water will recover, the earth will be renewed, and if it's true that plastic is not degradable, well, the planet will simply incorporate plastic into a new paradigm, the earth plus plastic. The earth doesn't share our prejudice towards plastic. Plastic came out of the earth. The earth probably sees plastic as just another one of its children. Could be the only reason the earth allowed us to be spawned from it in the first place. It wanted plastic for itself. Didn't know how to make it. Needed us. Could be the answer to our age-old philosophical question, why are we here? Plastic. Assholes. So, the plastic is here, our job is done, we can be phased out now, and I think that's really started already, don't you? I mean, to be fair, the planet probably sees us as a mild threat, something to be dealt with, and I'm sure the planet will defend itself in the manner of a large organism, like a beehive or an ant colony can muster a defense. I'm sure the planet will think of something. What would you do if you were the planet trying to defend against this pesky, troublesome species? Let's see, what might, viruses. Viruses might be good. They seem vulnerable to viruses. And viruses are tricky, always mutating and forming new strains whenever a vaccine is developed. Perhaps this first virus could be one that compromises the immune system of these creatures. Perhaps a human immunodeficiency virus, making them vulnerable to all sorts of other diseases and infections that might come along. And maybe it could be spread sexually, making them a little reluctant to engage in the act of reproduction. Well, that's a poetic note. That's a start. And I can dream, can't I? Gotta worry about the little things, bees, trees, whales, snails. I think we're part of a greater wisdom than we will ever understand. A higher order. Call it what you want. Know what I call it? The big electron. The big electron. Whoa. 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 It doesn't punish. It doesn't reward. It doesn't judge at all. It just is. And so are we. For a little while. Thanks for being here with me for a little while tonight. Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's George Carlin there. Wow, yeah. That's kind of strange hearing him talk like that now, years later, when virus is on the tip of everyone's tongue, and he was alluding to AIDS there, but of course we've got COVID-19 now. In the chat, Pleb Enforcement is saying, obviously I'd like to reduce trash, increase it, recycling, look after environment more, but we are not facing an existential threat. And Triple T is saying, rest in peace, this guy is putting in a lot of effort in his stand-up. It's a speech. Yes, it is. And Hassan Radwan loves George Carlin as well. Yeah. And I wonder, Pleb Enforcement, how did you come to your conclusions? And I'm assuming things about you here, so forgive me if I'm wrong. Do you just like the opinions of people that you agree with? Very often, issues these days are very much stylized as a left-wing issue or a right-wing issue. Brexit was popularized, or it was regarded as a right-wing issue. The right wanted Brexit, the left didn't. But actually, there were a lot of left-wing arguments for Brexit. But some people, because they're identitarian and they think they've found the answer, and they cling more strongly to their identity, more so than ever before, because Brexit is regarded as a right-wing thing. That's what they want. All of a sudden, somehow, Tommy Robinson became the face of Brexit. What he has to do with Brexit, I've got no idea. I thought he just didn't like Muslims. Why he gives a damn about Poles or anyone else, I've got no idea. And being a climate change denier has been portrayed as a right-wing stance to take. Pleb enforcement, something about you tells me that you're on the right, and lo and behold, you've wound up being a climate change denier. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I respect the fact that you don't want to expose your voice online. Fair enough, we can have the debate in the chat. And Pleb enforcement is saying, I used to be a climate change bro when I was younger. I always like to change my beliefs. It's the only way you can grow intellectually. Well, I agree with that, Pleb enforcement. Very well said. And all the presumptions I just made about you might be absolutely incorrect. But we've got a caller on line 2. Who's this?
Hello there.
Hi, welcome. You've reached Lessons for Life. What? Happy Earth Day.
Yes, I have a very nice show. My name is Professor Hakim.
Professor Hakim, thank you. Welcome.
Welcome. I'm hearing your show, and it's a very interesting show. Of course, this is my topic, and this is my area of subject and expertise.
Superb.
I have listened to what you have said and other people who have come on this show. But I think it is very important for people to understand that climate change can only happen if there is a climate. And the change cannot happen if there is no climate. So the question is, where is the climate? And which climate are we changing and talking about?
Well, they used to call it global warming. Then it became climate change. Pleb enforcement might like where I'm going with this one. He's saying that... what's he saying? It's only... I used to be a bleeding heart liberal, but I understand human nature better with age. He's someone who used to go with the whole climate change program. He's now, since ceasing to be a liberal, he's stopped believing in climate change, which I find interesting. They did used to call it global warming, then it became climate change because the planet wasn't necessarily getting warmer, it was just changing and the weather was going in a different direction. Professor, why do you think that happened? Why did they change the wording of it? Was it not as simple as we first thought, that it was just going to get hotter and hotter?
Because the global warming, it has got to do with the rise in temperature across the globe. It is a wholesale change. That is what is global warming. Climate change is different. Climate change is the impact, it's the effect of global warming.
Okay.
So without the global warming, there is no climate change. And the other thing is, the big question is, if we live on the moon, there is no climate, so will there be any climate change there? And that is the most important thing to now start looking at. Why is there no climate change on the moon? And if we can investigate this and find out the reason why, we can apply it here on this planet, the Earth, and that is why we call it Earth Day, and that is why they call over there Moon Day.
Who do? The clangers? Oh look, there's little clanger. You're taking me back to my childhood, Professor. Thank you for your call. Just lastly, I want to ask you, do you think one day we'll live on the moon?
Of course.
Okay.
That's the only way. And that is the only solution.
Well, I'll see you there. I'm looking forward to that day. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice one. Professor, I think he said his name was Hakim, which means wise. What an ironic name. Pleb enforcement saying, don't you remember global dimming, acid rain? Whatever happened to acid rain? That was one of those moral panics in the 90s. I was very worried about acid rain as a young lad. And Triple T saying, Mr. Pleb, if you always like to change your views, then you will change what you believe now. Yeah, will you ever go full circle pleb enforcement. Now, I respect what pleb enforcement was saying there. It does take a lot to change your mind and leave a bubble that you've been trapped in. Right or wrong, we can respect each other's views, and I will always respect someone who has changed their views. And Hassan Radwan is saying, I suspect the professor already lives on the moon. Yes, he might be a lunatic. And if you go into the etymology of that word, you'll know why I said lunatic. Yeah, probably howling. It's must be the new moon soon, because we are starting Ramadan very soon, next couple of days. Pleb enforcement saying, very likely I'm going to need some good evidence. Watch Tony Heller YouTube channel. He is very persuasive. Is he very persuasive, pleb enforcement, or do you just like him? Because I love, as Hassan Radwan knows, I love a conspiracy theory. I put my tinfoil hat on every night. So what? But we must look in the mirror and acknowledge our confirmation bias. Whenever there's a new theory or a new story, I am looking for the narrative that is outside the mainstream. I'm looking to find out, is the BBC lying to me? Are Sky News lying to me? Are the mainstream narratives that are being force-fed to me lies? They won't always be, but because they were so often in my childhood, because I saw the lies that led to the Iraq War and led to 1 million dead, I am naturally skeptical of the science and the facts and what we know is, and 45 minutes and all the rest of it. But that doesn't mean that it will always be wrong. And it's very dangerous to have decided your opinion either way before you see the facts. And it's all very well saying you should watch so-and-so YouTube channel. There's many good YouTube channels, but there's not many that we can just say, well, there you go. I agree with everything they say based on science. Are you basing it on science, or are you basing it on what you like? Pleb enforcement saying, haven't been able to find anyone who has successfully debunked his analysis of the climate change people's data. Yeah, okay. Well then how come you haven't won in the public mind then? If it's so obvious, as I always say to the flat earthers who think it's absolutely obvious that the earth is flat, well, prove it then. Winning the argument should be very easy if you've won it that many times. Have we got another caller? I know, have we got another caller, or is it the same professor? Who's this?
This is Professor Hakim. I just came. I hearing this. This is rubbish.
Okay.
Why people come on here? Yeah.
Well,
this is rubbish.
Who are you rubbishing in particular?
Because I hearing this story about just now. No, sorry, not you. I'm not talking about you or the show. I just Google very quickly about this a politician. He's in denial. He's saying that global warming. He's saying climate change. None of this is happening. None of this. And he must look into this in more carefully, because what he doesn't understand, again, I'm telling you, if you don't understand climate, you don't understand change. If you don't understand change, you don't understand that there is no climate. And actually, there is a climate. And for the climate to take place, there must be change. So the climate change is happening. That's it.
Well, okay. I'm glad you cleared that up, Professor. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
There we go. In case there was any confusion, in order for climate change, you need a climate. And if I can change, and you can change, everybody can change. Which film is that from? Answers in the chat. Yeah, it is. It is interesting how this becomes politicized, and saying you haven't found anyone that's debunked it. Then win the argument. Why is the mainstream narrative that climate change is man-made or anthropogenic, that burning fossil fuels are leading to an increase in temperature. That's the established fact. Who has who gains is always the question we ask. Who does it benefit to tell that lies? Now, the massive oil companies, surely they have the money to be paying off scientists to say that it wasn't man-made, but then they clearly haven't. So all the money in such a huge industry, although the price of oil has plummeted because of this pandemic, maybe pleb enforcement thinks that's fake as well. Is it fake, pleb enforcement? I'm saying that rather flippantly, forgive me. If that's your opinion, I'll respect it. But we do need to back up these opinions on such dangerous matters. Now, the price of oil has plummeted. Who will that help? I don't know. But the massive oil companies, the fossil fuels, they would be pumping money into scientists and researchers to come up with facts that show us that climate change is not happening or is not human influenced, and even that hasn't happened. And pleb enforcement is saying, how do you successfully reverse climate change without some form of global governments? Oil prices plummeted because demand has evaporated. Yeah, it has, hasn't it? If we're not driving around, or we shouldn't be, then oil prices will plummet. I don't believe we've seen the benefit at the pumps yet. The petrol price that we pay hasn't actually changed, even though at the higher level people are paying people to get rid of the oil. So when will we, the people, reap the benefits of this lower price? I guess maybe never. And I don't know how you reverse climate change. Maybe George Carlin's right. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it's we that will face extinction and the earth will be fine. Maybe this is just part of a natural cycle. And if we are, as our behaviour would suggest, a parasite, won't the earth just brush us off like a bad case of fleas? And maybe we are just on the path to self-destruction now, but maybe that's how it's meant to be. Maybe that's God's will. I hope not. Pleb enforcement saying oil prices declining is the worst nightmare for climate change bros. Why is that, pleb enforcement? Why would it be a bad thing for the climate change bros, as you so informally refer to them as? Why would that be a bad thing for, are you saying the likes of Greta Thunberg et al.? Why would they not like it? Does that not fit their narrative? Does that not fit their agenda? And you mentioned global governance. Are you worried about a global government? Wouldn't a global government be a good thing? Wouldn't we achieve a lot more if we all pulled in the same direction and all united and put our differences to one side? Wouldn't that be better? Wouldn't we do better as a team? Maybe pleb enforcement thinks every man is an island and there's no such thing as community. I don't know. Well, we're not going to hear from pleb enforcement because his voice must remain anonymous, but if anyone else wants to get involved, it's 07491 751 203. How did you spend Earth Day? I think it was the 15th anniversary of Earth Day, and I can't actually remember what it is we're meant to do on Earth Day. Wasn't it the time that everyone would turn their lights off for 10 minutes? What difference that would make, I don't know. And pleb enforcement is saying because the only way we get to sustainable energy is by making it cost viable. Now oil is so cheap, how can they compete? And no, global government and global institutions have proven to be utterly useless. States will always follow their own interests. Well, maybe people will always follow their own interests. Maybe people like you do. Just because the police force was found to be institutionally racist doesn't mean that we shouldn't have police at all. I would say that probably most police forces are corrupt, but surely having a corrupt, even a racist police force is better than having no police force at all. Pleb enforcement. You sound like you like laying down the law, and you've got a picture of an officer on your display there. So I don't know. Surely, like Winston Churchill said, democracy may not be a good way to govern, but it's the least bad way. The fact that something is not perfect doesn't mean we shouldn't have it at all. And which global institutions are you referring to? Surely not the World Health Organization, although we did hear about them being corrupt on this very show only the other night. And what about the UN? Are there any, let's play the honesty game, are there any global institutions that you think are doing okay, or are they, by their very nature, something that revolts you? And Pleb Enforcement is saying, how did we survive without police until the beginning of the 20th century? Well, if you want to go back to the beginning of the 20th century, when there was a Spanish flu pandemic, it almost feels like we have gone back to that. Surely life is better now than it was at the beginning of the 20th century. Is the fact that we didn't have... We probably didn't have hospitals back then, Pleb Enforcement. How did we survive without hospitals? How did we survive without an NHS until 1948? Are you really saying we should do away with these things? Maybe you're Amish. Maybe you're watching this on a fax machine. Maybe you're living in a caravan. I don't know. Do you not like advancement? Do you not like the leaps and bounds that we've made as a civilization over the years? Are we dragging you kicking and screaming into the 21st century? How did we survive without police until the 20th century? Well, we robbed and stole from people, and there would be nothing to stop me coming to steal from you, or you to come and steal from me. But surely you're not arguing that we shouldn't have police. And Pleb Enforcement is saying we did have hospitals. They were philanthropically funded. Okay, so that means good, generous people just donated their money. And was that better? Was that better back then when we just relied on charity? We're relying on that again. We've got Captain Tom, 100 years old, and he's walking up and down to philanthropically fund the NHS. Is that really what we want to go back to? But we got a call. Good evening, happy Earth Day. Who's this?
Good evening. It's Annabelle
Rastra. Welcome. Yeah,
What's the topic?
well, it's Earth Day, so we watched a little clip of Greta Thunberg when she said to the world, "How dare you? You're destroying the planet." Then we saw George Carlin, who sort of took a counter argument, although it was years before. He thinks the planet won't be bothered about us, and the planet will be here long after we're gone. And you could use that to argue, does it matter if I leave the tap on or drive down to the corner shop? Does it really matter about the environment? Because we're going to be gone anyway.
I was going to say, I really think that sort of argument is redundant, and it's really stupid argument, because, they're always saying, oh yeah, the earth needs saving. We need to save the earth. But the earth has been around for millions of years. It's not the earth that needs saving, it's us that we need the saving, because we are destroying ourselves. The earth will be here for a long, long time, in my opinion.
Okay, yeah. And we'll be gone. Where will we be?
I don't know. I mean, in a million years' time, who knows?
Well, I went for my 1 hour daily exercise today, and I walked through a park, and I saw some ducks, and I thought, I don't know how long ducks live, but let's say ducks lived 10 years. In 10 years now, 20 years from now, the pond will still be here. All those ducks will be gone, but they will probably be replaced by different ducks. And maybe we need to start remembering that in 100 years or 150 years or whatever, there will be a completely new set of people here. Or you think there might not be? Are we the last generation?
I don't know. I believe that we can actually, we can live forever, you know?
Spiritually or physically?
Physically, but our stage of the game, I don't think we'll get there. Not in our lifetime, you know?
Wow, wow. You really think man could live forever? Would you want to live forever, physically?
Of course, yes.
Really? Forever and ever and ever. Team McIntyre is suggesting that rats will inherit the earth. Yeah, very, very robust rodent is the rat.
All the rats, yeah?
Wow, there's a few running around already. Dardasha saying, I'm just grateful to be on this earth and I'm trying to be hopeful, even though we are yet to face a lot in the coming days. Paper Enforcement saying, one large volcanic eruption can do more damage to the prevailing climate than 100 years of sustainable energy. Nature is scary, but it will always find a balance. Yeah, Annabelle, I sense you have a respect for nature, but you understand that we're apart from nature. Would that be right?
No, I know that we are nature. We are nature. You know that.
Okay. Do you believe we evolved from ape-like creatures?
I don't believe in evolution. I don't believe in the monkey evolution theory because if we evolve from monkeys, how come monkeys are not evolving to humans?
That's always the best counter-argument to Darwin's pages and pages of research and time spent on the Galapagos Islands. But the argument, Annabelle, is that not that we evolved from apes, but that apes and we evolved from a common ancestor. They have done very well, and so have we. They live in their environment and they survive. We live in ours and we survive. But will we survive? Are we now on a self-destruct mission because we keep polluting our environment and destroying it? And Andre McIntyre is saying, don't start me off. Come on, Andre, let's start you off. Why is the rat going to inherit the earth?
You know, I would say that I know there's a plan, a master plan right now to depopulate the earth, to kill vast amounts of numbers of people in order to make the population smaller. So I believe there's a real fight going on now of good versus evil, you know?
But in nature, if an animal or a creature becomes too numerous, there will be a natural cull, right? Populations come in waves. Maybe the population agenda is not an agenda, it's a natural phenomenon.
Yeah, but the problem is with the nature thing is that we are actually interfering in all of those natural processes.
Yeah, we're dabbling in nature. We are
exactly. So the things that's happening in the nature is not natural because we've interfered with it massively. I mean, we've destroyed environments of animals. We've made the sea really dirty. We've just made the soil dirty. So we've really done a lot of bad things on Earth, you know?
But why not? That's ours to use, isn't it? We've got the intelligence. Why not just use it and abuse it? Why do you sense the duty? Why do you have a sense of duty, of care towards nature and the planet? Is that out of respect to nature for itself, or, as I was hinting, for the next generation to come and, you know, your great-great-grandson or whoever?
I feel like when we have that sense of duty of care towards nature, it's like having a sense of duty to care for each other. Because I told you that I know that we are nature. So when we care for each other, we are caring for the planet, for Earth. Because We all live here. You know what I mean?
Well, look, I extend that to the procedure in the lockdown. Whether you agree with it or not, whether the science is right or not, we have stayed home not to help ourselves, but to help other people who are at more risk than us.
Yeah, I don't believe all of that. I think what's happening is our freedoms are being taken away, and
Wow.
it's not looking too good.
Well, I may be wrong. I may tell you, sorry, Annabelle, I was wrong, but we'll find out. Annabelle, I'm going to take the next call. Thank you for getting in touch.
So you're making a move.
Thank you, brother. I've got to take the next call. All right, brother.
Yeah, mate.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. And we've got another caller following up from Annabelle Russ Trill. Who's this?
Hello, my name is Louis.
Hello, Louis. Welcome. Happy Earth Day, sir.
Well, not happy. I don't like Earth Day. It's a pile of rubbish, and no one should celebrate.
Why not, Louis? Why would you not want to celebrate a day dedicated to our planet and preserving it for the future generation?
People like Greta Thunberg should be thrown in the well.
In the well? Why?
She's a parasite.
Parasite. Well, do you think human beings are a parasite? That's what George Carlin was kind of suggesting in the clip, that we're like a bad case of fleas.
Well, I hope Greta gets coronavirus.
Yeah. You hope who gets coronavirus?
Greta Thunberg.
Greta. Oh God. She's a young girl, Louis. Whether you agree with her or not, that's a bit harsh. How dare you?
She needs education. She needs.
Well, what would you say to her? Educate us all. As you know more than Greta Thunberg, you sound a little bit older than her. Maybe you were in the year above at school. What do you know that she doesn't know?
Well, I'll tell her to go play in the road.
Now, is that it? You don't have you? Okay, thank you. Happy Earth Day. There goes Louis, Mad King Louis there, telling Greta Thunberg that she needs to get educated. And in the chat we have got Pleb Enforcement is talking about the Vedic and Sumerian texts. You're a very well read chap, Pleb Enforcement, and he's also saying that apparently Greta Thunberg she claimed that she already had the corona, possibly, and Team McIntyre is laughing. I don't know. Team McIntyre has a lot of knowledge on the subject of infestation and spreading of germs. He might share it with us one day. And there's Pavlov. Big up, Pavlov. Welcome. Honour to have you in here. One of the heavyweights, intellectual heavyweights from Speaker's Corner. And I'll be interested to know where Pavlov lies on this one. Is he a climate change denier? Why? It's funny. You can think of a person you might know well, and you can sort of have a guess at what their opinion might be on something. But I would always like to reserve my judgment and not assume. But we can't help it. And a lot of people would probably be able to guess my opinion on things before you've even asked me the question, even though I try to keep my cards quite close to my chest. I'm accused of being a fence sitter, but it's all right to sit on the fence sometimes. Sometimes the fence is a good place to be. Sometimes you need to pretend you're on one side of the fence in order to consolidate your argument. And it's always a good exercise. No matter how sure you are of something, you should imagine you are trying to argue the other side. And I have opinions on what goes on in the Middle East, but I've always tried to put myself in the shoes of the so-called opposition and think, what would they say to me to help me bolster my argument? But we've got another caller. Who is this?
Hello, my name's Steve, and I just want to say that last caller disrespects the NHS, I believe in.
What? How did they disrespect the NHS?
But if it wasn't for the NHS, our world wouldn't be, going how it is, and I don't understand what goes through people's heads. Like that guy, whatever his name, Liam, or saying Greta Thunberg needs to die. She's the reason why the world is spinning as well. She'll run the world one day, I think.
Well, Beyonce said it. Who runs the world? Females. I don't know if we owe that much to Greta Thunberg, but we certainly owe a lot to the National Health Service, and Boris Johnson owes his life to the NHS. Pleb Enforcement in the chat is suggesting we should go back to the days when hospitals were run by philanthropists who just felt like doing something good. But surely it is better to have everybody chip in and everybody reap the benefits as and when they need. And there goes... what did that chap say his name was? Forget, but always welcome. Lots of first-time callers coming in. I do appreciate the interaction that we're getting on this one. Triple T is saying, we stopped playing on the roads in the 80s and we have to do more than pray. And he's nominating that young girl for PM. Yeah, we've had a couple of women prime ministers, and it's unfortunate that the Tory party have the boast that they have provided the currently two only female prime ministers. And kind of ironic, the left always bangs on about equal rights and feminism, yet it was two right-wingers that wound up being the first female prime ministers. And it's sad to me as a person on the left when left-wing would-be feminists applaud Margaret Thatcher, not for any policy that she had, but just for the fact that she was a woman. Rather similar to perhaps Barack Obama being the first black president of the United States of America, yet he killed many dark-skinned people, many more than many of the white presidents that had gone before him. All men. We're still yet to have a female president. We narrowly missed out on a President Clinton, a female President Clinton. And PK3776 is saying, yeah, that was it, Louis. Louis needs an education. Well, we all need education. We all need socialization. We need to learn from each other. Don't get it all from books. You have to go out there and talk to people. And we need to learn to tolerate other opinions and not have this confirmation bias. Well, we've all got it. We need to be aware of it, but not just like the opinions of the people that we like. Look for the facts in among the opinions. And Pleb Enforcement is saying, historically, the most effective leaders are men. It's just the way we're built. Well, in this current pandemic, coincidentally, the countries that are doing the best, apparently, to deal with the coronavirus are the likes of New Zealand, with a female prime minister, and a bunch of other countries that have female leaders that I can't remember. And Triple T is saying, yeah, the best killers as well. Because men have been leaders most of the time, does that mean they're the best leaders, or does that just mean they are the leaders? They will be among the best leaders and the worst leaders. They are more extreme. They will be at the extreme ends of any league table that you care to draw up. Now, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. There will be a natural reason for it. I think the reason why men have emerged as leaders more so than women is because, on average, men are bigger, stronger, taller than women. And in our cave days, when we used to live in the cave, we used to paint on the wall in the cave, you would look for a big, strong, tall, robust and you'd say, right, you are our leader. Just as in the old days, women would from now can protect you from the wolves or the safety tiger or whatever it is. Oh, we found hold on. Cool. I've lost the. Yeah, I lost the live stream. Oh dear.
Can you hear me?
Okay, hopefully we are still live as we go into the final 2 minutes. We lost the stream there for a moment. Close the show, caller. You have got the minute. You're live on Lessons for Life and you've got 2 minutes. As well as the show. Hello, caller.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. You've got 2 minutes to say your piece. You are closing the show tonight.
Oh, it was going back to Greta, the guy who called in about Greta.
Yeah. What's your take on it?
Well, I'm not sure if everybody knows, but Greta suffers with Asperger's.
Yes, she has Asperger's. Does she suffer from it? She seems to be doing quite well with it. Maybe it's a strength, not a weakness.
I was just about to say that.
Go on.
Anybody who knows anybody that has, I mean, it's considered a disability, isn't it? But
Yeah, it's considered a learning disability, but maybe it's a superpower.
well, most people, I know a few people with Asperger's, but they see the world in a different way that we see it. Some would argue that they see the world in a more beautiful way than what we see it. But I think it was quite wicked of people, family, for example, to be putting her on that platform that she got onto, because she got onto a massive platform, and it could be said that with her disability, she wasn't equipped for it. And for people to then run her down, for what she said and the way she behaved, which she never said anything wrong anyway, but how she behaved on the public, on the stage that she had, I think for people to then turn around and look at her and say, I would tell her to go and stand up in the middle of the road and all of that, whatever he said. I just think that was really, I can't even call it distasteful. I have to call him for what he is.
Well said. Well said. I'm gonna leave it on that note because I think you hit the nail on the head. This has been Lessons for Life. We'll do it all again soon. We were here and we're gone. Laters.